Pussy Riot, The Movement by Jack Smith and Tessa Martinson. Of course it's cool when you're hiding. No one knows who you are and you can say whatever you think. As quoted by Masha Samachuvik. Pussy Riot is a Russian nonviolent feminist punk rock band that was formed when Vladimir Putin came into power. Because they strongly disagreed with Putin and his government, the group took brazen actions against them, which eventually led to two of the members' arrest. Their band name, Pussy Riot, became the name of a larger movement that spread across Russia to protest against inequality and mistreatment of Russians by Putin. According to the author Peter Rutland of the Nationalities Papers, the Pussy Riot movement was a massive international cause that ignited a widespread movement of support for the jailed activists around the world. Pussy Riot, altogether, is a band movement that anyone can join. It is filled with many anonymous members who all support the same cause. There are, however, only 3 official members in the band: Yekaterina Kat Sumuchevich, Maria Masha Alikonia, and Nadia Tokonkova. And as revealed by Sarah Liss, a writer for Flare, Nadia and Masha are both actually mothers. As stated in an article by America, Kat originally studied computer programming while working at a defense research institute, but then quit because she became disgusted with the corruption in the industry. Later she got into politics and photography, leading her to meet Nadia in the performing arts. Masha was the last to join the band. The article by America further states that, as a young adult, she was an environmental activist and studied journalism. Joining Pussy Riot allowed her to expand on what she wanted to do, which was change the world. Nadia is essentially the head of the band. The America article reported that she was taught herself in philosophy as well as literary criticism and attended Moscow State University, where she joined the performing arts. This is where she became interested in feminism and LGBT causes. She formed the group shortly after Putin returned to power. Putin is the current president of Russia and has been for many years. He ascended into power in December of 1999, when the current president, Yeltsin, resigned. He ruled over Russia for 8 years. As explained in an article by Commentary, Putin could not be re-elected at the end of his term because, as president, he could only be in place for a total of 8 years. So, a new candidate had to take his place. In this case, Putin's prime minister was elected president. However, he was not re-elected for a second term, so Putin ascended back into power in 2012. However, like Pussy Riot, a lot of other people did not like Putin. As stated in the Commentary article, the Putin regime had created a world where nothing was true and everything was possible, a state in which Moscow had license to crush democracy at home and expand its borders abroad. In Russia, people were and are still afraid to speak up for fear that Putin will imprison them or have them killed. The protests that Pussy Riot staged took place in various places throughout Russia. However, the most popular staging took place in February at Moscow's Cathedral of Christ the Savior. Putin had just recently been re-elected president, and the church was government-controlled. A report by the Nationalities Papers explained that Pussy Riot, along with 2 other women, entered the church and started playing what they called a punk prayer, which challenged Putin's thinking and authority. They danced with crazed movements and were dressed in neon-covered balaclavas. Soon after their arrival, other people within the building escorted the women out and Pussy Riot was taken into custody. The acts that the girls performed in the church had consequences. Nadia and Masha ended up being charged with hooliganism and were sentenced to prison for 2 years within Siberian penal colonies, located in Sochi. Though, as told in a report by Vanity Fair, with help from the media, they were released 2 months early and given amnesty. The message of their punk prayer was supposed to appeal to the Virgin Mary to chase Putin out. Because of what they stood for, their acts of rebellion were supported by the West. Due to that, according to the Russian Social Science Review, Russian critics portrayed the performance as an attack on the authority of the Russian Orthodox Church and on Russian statehood. While being imprisoned in Sochi, Nadia and Masha dealt with horrible living and working conditions. Though the attention of the media helped, according to reporter Masha Gessen for Vanity Fair, being a prisoner there was like slave labor. Gessen explains that the system of punishment and control involved holding women outside in the cold for hours and days, and at times denying them even the right to wash. Nadia and Masha even recorded a clip of the Cossack in Sochi, which is a paramilitary group in Russia, horsewhipping them and a few other women. However, this isn't the first instance of officials abusing them. In an interview with Newsweek's Global, Nadia said that the police threw me on the floor face down, bruising my hands and knees. Officials also interrogated Pussy Riot, using methods ranging from pepper gas spray to beatings. Assault also waited for the group outside the prison as well. Referring back to Gessen's report, Nadia and Masha spoke about their run-in with self-identified Russian patriot thugs, and how they lacerated Masha's forehead and put acid in Nadia's eyes. Fans of the band went into an uproar over the group's arrest. Crowds gathered to protest right outside of the building where the trial was being held. When Nadia and Masha received their sentence and were sent to prison, protests broke out in various cities throughout Russia. When social media began to spread the band's story, protests in support of the band also started taking place in many other countries, like the US. In an interview done by USA Today, Nadia said that the attention of the media was a miracle for them. It helped her and Masha inside the prison system because it made daily living less demanding. It also eventually helped the women receive amnesty, which enabled them to be released earlier. Pino Diaz, to paraphrase, stated by Mill, claimed people should not be incriminated just because of their opinion. It would be unwise for society to not listen to an unpopular opinion because then the popular ones would never be challenged and the truth or greater understanding would never have the chance to be accepted. So, how does the freedom of expression, hearing, and fair consideration of unpopular or minority-held viewpoints benefit a society? Mill said that it benefits society because listening and understanding to the other side of the argument is a right and fair thing to do. Putin is limiting the voices of those with outlying opinions from himself and the Russian government in order to protect the government's own views and beliefs. Pussy Riot is one of the few big voices against the government with the goal of showing the corruption within its system and trying to change it for the better.